I want to talk about the clown measure for measure. As I've said in previous weeks, as we go along, we see the clown figures are very distinct from play to play. And here, one of our primary clown is a pimp, Pompey the Bod. Bod is a word for pimp. That's what he is. And pimp doesn't have any kind of cool association. He's just somebody who um, makes a living by exploiting women's sexual favors. That's it, right? Like, and exploiting those women. Not cool in any way. That's a pretty grim thing where the pimp, the down and dirty, not very nice pimp, is your clown figure. His name is Pompey. Pompey is a great Roman general, the kind of military leader whom Julius Caesar like knocked off to take power. Again, an extremely important, glorious historical figure. This guy's name is Pompey Bum, which is like naming him Abraham Lincoln Ass Cheek, right? Naming him George Washington Butt. Yeah. Um, I want to talk now about Constable Elbow. Constable Elbow should seem familiar to us. He is kind of a cousin of the much warmer and more likable Constable Dogberry. It's essentially the same bit. We have a silly constable who has a vocabulary problem. He has some kind of thesaurus curse where he's always using the wrong word and not quite making himself plain, and this obstructs his ability to actually bring any offenders to justice. In Much Ado About Nothing, it actually didn't stop Pompey, I'm sorry, it didn't stop. Pardon me, didn't stop Dogberry. Dogberry, how like here, Elbow shows us what is wrong with the Dogberry model. He is Dogberry's evil twin or dirty, corrupt twin, right? Where he's bringing people to prison he's trying to bring people to prison who he has personal grudges against. He's down and dirty with them. The fact that he's using the wrong words is a joke, but only on him. And we're encouraged to laugh at Elbow much more than Dogberry. Dogberry being in charge actually keeps Messina and Much Ado But Nothing pretty much safe, and he gets his man. In any case, as I said, as we discussed that play, the whole point of Dogberry is that, like, keeping the peace is not about getting his man. Elbow is about punishment. He is a constable for this play, which is all about punishing people for non-violent offenses, right? About punishing sex as something you criminalize. Um, but he's being mocked himself. He's ineffective. He shouldn't be doing this job. If you watch the trial scene in Act 2, Scene 1, where both Elbow's incompetence and Pompey's kind of clownish refusal to cooperate with authority kind of draw everything out. You notice Pompey's basic move is dilate things, tell the story longer, get into real nitty gritty detail, right? Like these are china dishes, but they're good dishes, and let's get off onto tangents so we can never actually come to the point where it's like I'm guilty of what you accuse me of. Angelo, the figure who's about the theory of the law, the rigid, allegedly incorruptible, principle driven Lord Angelo, walks out. This without, like, he gets frustrated and he just walks out on his duty where his junior partner, Aeschylus, stays and sorts things out and does a kind of justice by no means associated with the law books, where he sorts things out. I will point out he has a conversation with Elbow about the fact that why is Elbow the constable and he works in like you. Okay, Elbow is being having this job pawned off. There are other people from his community who are people like this. These jobs came from the most affluent people in the community took turns doing these civic duties, doing the offices. Shakespeare's own father had done some of these duties back in Warwickshire when William was growing up before Shakespeare's father kind of went broke. Aeschylus says, "Is there anybody else? Bring me a list. Bring me a list." He's going to sort things out. Aeschylus is a character who is showing how you work things out by individual, detail-oriented coping with the facts. Okay, we've got a constable who's not quite the right person. I'm not going to yell at him or whatever. I'm going to have him come over to dinner at my house. He's going to bring a list of other people. I'm going to get somebody else in his place. Pompey, he doesn't punish, but does a very Elizabethan thing. He's like, okay, I'm not gonna. It's essentially the down low suspended sentence. Don't show up in my court again. No, not for where you live. But Pompey the bod, the pimp, becomes the voice of reason here. He is told that sexual offenses will lead to headings and hangings, beheadings. And the clown says, Act 2, Scene 1, line 202, if you head and hang all that offend that way, but for tenure together, you'll be glad to give out a commission for more heads. It's the reverse of Benedict's world must be peopled. If you're going to execute everybody for having sex, you're not going to have any people. Your plan is insane. And the clown is right. The clown, this is one of the most sinister Shakespeare clowns, but he's absolutely right that the people in authority, the voices of morality, are crazy in this play. They're going for a strictness and a rigor of the law, a rigidity that just isn't practical. And it's like, you are not going to stamp out sex. You do not have that kind of power. The Duke does not have kind of power. And if you did stamp out sex, you'd be gone. Yes? Since this is a class aimed at people in Greater Cleveland, I give there is that suburb, Shaker Heights, which used to have a Shaker community who were religious celibates, and where are they today? They're all gone because they never made babies. This is a play. This is a play where the authority figures cannot make a distinction between legitimate okay sexuality and nasty, wrong sexuality, and they're tending to criminalize, they're quick to criminalize everything. Where there's nobody in this play, like there's almost no sex in this play that the Duke seems to approve of, except like the weird bed trick at the end, which, Angelo does not consent to. It's the bed trick. He does not consent to sleep with the person he sleeps with because he doesn't know he's sleeping with her. But this is also play where you actually don't see a lot of positive sexuality, positive warm sexuality. But it's a contest between dirty sex and no sex at all, and the world must be peopled. So the clowns don't actually lighten the tone. The clowns, in many ways, darken the tone here.